So I've got some noodles, some nudes. Oh, I can't say nudes. It's César with the Food52 Test Kitchen, and today I'm going to show you how to make my favorite soup, one of my favorite soups, Sopa de res y fideo. This is a Puerto Rican beef noodle soup. Let's make it. So I have a few different cuts of beef here. I have beef shank, beef neck with the bone. You want as much bones as possible. This is like where all the flavor is going to come from. And I also have some oxtails as well. The bone from the oxtail, the bone from the beef neck, from the shank is gonna give you a lot of flavor. Also, traditionally, these were considered cheaper, more undesirable cuts of meat. Over the years, they've really increased in popularity and have become not cheap, which sucks, because this used to be cheap. Same with the shank. These were pieces that nobody wanted to eat, and very popular pieces amongst like the Latin American community, Caribbean people, African people. We're still gonna make it, it's just gonna be a little more expensive to make. What I like to do, and this is kind of a controversial step for a lot of people, but something that's very traditional in a Caribbean kitchen or African kitchens. Some people call this washing the meat. There's no such thing as washing meat. I'm gonna say that right off the bat. You're not washing meat. But what I am gonna do is I'm gonna give this a bath in some cold water, salt, lime juice, and white vinegar. And basically the reason I'm doing it is to decrease the amount of scum that's gonna float to the top of the soup as you're cooking it, because right now there's just a lot of like proteins happening. There's some blood, like you see that, like for a lot of people this is very undesirable in the soup off the bat, and it will collect as scum on the top. We're still gonna get some scum that we're gonna skim off, but to reduce that, that's why I give it this little bath. Putting my different cuts of beef into a bowl. Salt, a good amount of salt. Don't get scared, this is gonna get washed off. Salt. And at the end of all of this, it's gonna taste really good. The famous flusser. Everybody knows and loves the flusser at this point. So I have my salt, I have my lime juice. I'm gonna do a splash of white vinegar and then cold water. And you're gonna see how murky and cloudy this water gets. I'm gonna give this a few rinses and change the water out until it runs mostly clear. So it's funny though, this soup, I feel like I have more memories eating this soup in the summertime than I do the winter time. And I think the reason being, like, yes, it's a soup and people, I feel like a lot of third culture kids like joke about eating soup in the you know, when it's like 90 degrees out. But I think it's because this was a one pot meal when you really think about it. You kind of set it and forget it. So essentially, you know, your mom or abuela or whatever is in the kitchen for less time than if she were making a few courses. So I think that's why soup in the summer was such a thing. So because this meat right now is so wet, I'm not gonna get a sear on this, and I'm not trying to get a sear. Not for this dish anyway. Salt. I have some onion powder. Got some dried oregano. Garlic powder. Got some cumin. I've got some smoked Spanish paprika. Black pepper. And as I'm doing this, my heavy bottom skillet has been preheating. Usually this is done in like an aluminum caldero, like those big aluminum cauldrons. I have a Dutch oven here. I've spoken about this so many times before. This is annatto oil. I do have a short video about how to make this, but for those who don't know, essentially what I did was infuse extra virgin olive oil with annatto seeds, which is actually what gives things like cheddar cheese their color. But this is a very traditional and common and important ingredient in a lot of Caribbean food. This soup has a lot of garlic. I'm gonna put some now. Clean hands. Just gonna give it a little toss. All right. Show this some love. So I'm gonna go in with my oxtail. So all these cuts of meat that are typically pretty tough are just gonna become melty and really delicious. I grew up watching like my mother and my grandmother cook a lot. I was always fascinated by it. So I feel like my style of cooking is very much using that as a base and of course trying to like make it better. I think people like talk about the authenticity police a lot. And I think people get very protective of recipes like this, and rightfully so. But if they see something like a little different or a little like, you know, something that their mother or grandmother didn't do, they're like, no, that's not how you do it. And it's like, cuisine evolves and cuisine can get better and better. And that should be the point, right? Like, you should be a better cook than your mother. You should be a better cook than your grandmother. And hopefully your kid's a better cook than you. And then their kids, you know, like this weird gatekeeping, especially now. We have access to things now that our grandparents didn't have access to, you know? So why not use that? So I gave that a little head start. Now I'm gonna go in with, essentially I'm gonna add our sofrito. So a lot of people, when they think of sofrito, they think of something that's already like pureed, liquidy, something you make in a food processor or in a blender. That's fine and dandy. Sofrito can also be made with a knife, most traditionally with a mortar and pestle. Something like this, a soup like this that's gonna cook for so long, I'm happy to just make it with a knife. My sofrito consists of white onion. Already have some garlic in here. Here I have a combination of red bell pepper, green bell pepper, and cubanelle peppers. This is culantro, not to be confused with cilantro. And this is when it starts to smell like what it's supposed to smell like. I mean, the colors are crazy too, come on. So I also like to throw in whole leaves of culantro as well. It's still giving the culantro flavor, but not making it too overpowering. Or this could just be one of those things that like you do and you don't really know why you do it, but you do it because it has always been done. Okay, these are called ají dulce. It's funny, I'm seeing these pop up on a lot of people's menus, even like non-Caribbean, non-Hispanic chefs. They're getting their time to shine. They look like habaneros. They are sweet, they're not spicy, but they have a really nice flavor. And what I like to do with these, I just cut them in half and I kind of like flatten them a little bit, run my knife through. I didn't add any water. This is just the liquid from the vegetables, the residual liquid on the beef. So we're off to a great start. I'm gonna add in some bay leaves, ají dulce that I just sliced up. You can leave this as is. This is gonna make a delicious broth on its own. I am a really big fan of like beef bouillon paste or chicken bouillon paste. I think they do such a nice job. And this is just gonna make the broth even beefier. A lot of old school people use like the little bouillons that probably don't have any real beef in it at all. This at least is actual beef. So going with a good amount of that. Be careful, this could make your soup too salty if you're not careful, but I know we're gonna be okay. We're gonna go with tomato sauce. This tomato sauce you would find in a can, small can. Usually it goes by the name of Spanish style tomato sauce or tomato puree. As you can see, it's a very just like super puree tomato sauce. If you can't find this, you can use crushed tomatoes, you can use tomato paste. This is kind of like most common for this dish, so. Cover and leave it alone for like 2 hours. You really want this meat to break down, but I have a swap, so. Our pot sizes are a little different, both available on food52.com. But this is what it looks like after 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. So you see it really reduces down and all those vegetables kind of melt. So what I like to do at this point, I actually like to fish out anything that has bones in it. Growing up eating soup was like, you had to stick your fingers in there because there were bones and you're picking things up and just not my vibe. You definitely need the bones, but I don't like eating raw bones when I eat soup. Okay, so you see this, see that bone marrow in there? I want that, so I'm knocking it out, boom. But in the meantime, let's talk about our vegetables. So this is a pretty veg heavy beef noodle soup. Here I have the good old carrot. I did do a roll cut on these just to add some textural interest. This is kabocha squash, aka calabaza, or like Caribbean pumpkin. This is very common in this stew. Also a sancocho, which I will make at some point. Very similar to this, minus the noodles, but a lot more of these tropical root vegetables. And then this one is a batata. So this batata is a tropical variant of a sweet potato. And my favorite part, the corn. So people fight over the corn. I try to add as much corn as I can, and you know, keep it on the cob. Use a sharp knife carefully. Get these little wheels. My favorite part. So you don't want to add all of this in the beginning because by this point it would have become mush. So I'm just gonna go in with all my vegetables. Water to cover it. And then now I'm just gonna, you know, take my beef off the bone. I kind of like to let things naturally break apart. Like, it's gonna dictate to me how it wants to break apart. So I don't fuss too much over this. I do like to feel it though. Make sure I'm not getting any little bone shards. Our vegetables are in. Our deboned beef is in. I'm gonna cover this and let it do its thing for around 15 minutes. I just want that squash and the sweet potato and the carrots to be tender. And then it's almost time to eat it. All right, so for the last component of this beef noodle soup, this sopa de fideos, is los fideos, which comes as these little nests. So you are met with a choice at this point. You can either cook these directly in the soup, not my vibe, because as it sits, the noodles will continue to absorb the liquid. They're gonna get mushy. It's gonna be gross. What I do like to do is cook them separately. So I just have boiling water. And as you're ready to serve, each person could get a nest or two and then cook to order. That ensures the best texture. Soup is done. So at this point, my vegetables are tender. Everything is ready to go. So I've got some noodles. Some nudes. Oh, I can't say. Send nudes. Got my noodles. And then I like to just do the broth first. And then now the... Ooh, it's hot. I was being a hero. Just a little cilantro. There you have it. This is sopa de res y fideo. This is one of my favorite soups. Good for summer, good for winter. And I think it's gonna be your new favorite too. All right, ready? Damn. You know, I could body this whole bowl. Make a little beef, a little noodle. I know I said you shouldn't, I don't like sticking my fingers in the soup, but I'll stick them in the soup for the corn. This is the exception. This is the best part. This is the corn. So this was my sopa de res y fideo, my Puerto Rican beef noodle soup. You can really customize this to your liking. You don't have to use all the same vegetables that I use. Use whatever's available to you. Super customizable, really delicious, comforting. I hope you make it. I hope you love it. And I'll see you soon.